All right, you guys, so today we're doing something a little bit different again. We're gonna go ahead and put some lipstick on this pig, a little bit of black wrinkle spray paint for my valve cover. So if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know I put some good effort into painting up this engine bay. This thing was disgusting, man. And if you see on my hood, you know, that's kind of how it was, but it was even worse in the bay. So I put a lot of effort into cleaning that up and making it look nice. And yeah, everything is not perfect in there, okay? There's still a lot of dirty stuff. But having a nice painted valve cover, I think would be really sweet. And in this wrinkle finish and in the black, I think that's gonna be awesome. So if you saw last week's video, I went ahead and did the VTEC solenoid gasket. We also did the distributor O-ring, and then I did the oil pan gasket. And those were all done with Honda Genuine gaskets, and that's what I have right here. This is the valve cover gasket from Honda. And then I had this set right here. This was actually for my D16 Z6, but it has all the new grommets and pieces like that. And so one last thing I wanted to say here before we get started. A couple of you have asked me, where are the coilovers? Great question. Thanks for paying attention. I mentioned weeks ago that those were coming. And you know, there's a kind of a whole story behind that. If you're interested to hear that, I'll be talking about it at the end of the video, and I'll catch you all up to date. So of course my valve cover's on the car, so we're gonna have to remove that. It's very simple, you know, 10mm bolts hanging around. We'll go ahead and remove this ground wire here. Really, you just wanna make sure, you know, you're putting your spark plug wires back on the same way, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, starting from the timing belt side here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then of course they're all labeled here on my NGKs. Pretty simple, right? Just move the spark plug wires off to the side. This little hose, just pulled it off real quick, not even connected to the air tube yet. And then the 5 10mm bolts surrounding the valve cover, and I got those here. And those gaskets actually look pretty decent, but I have new ones, so I'll go ahead and clean all that up. But let's go ahead and pop this guy off. And all right, so the valve cover's off. And you know, I see a bunch of this kind of grease and, you know, oil residue that's kind of running along here, and I feel like this old cover here, or this old gasket, really was not on very well. And so there is the old gasket cover. Look how easy that came off. Okay, so there we go. All the edges, we'll clean those up. Then I'm gonna go ahead and bring this guy. Go ahead and take the oil cap off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and remove these couple brackets, and then we'll prep it. Okay, so I got those 2 little brackets off, the one that holds all the spark plug wires, and then this guy holds one of the vacuum hoses in the back. Now with this VHT stuff, there are a good amount of instructions on the back here, and you know, they're not hard. We'll go over that in a minute, but you definitely do want to follow them to the T, from what I understand, for this to come out right. But one of the first things it mentions is go ahead and clean up the surface with some kind of degreaser. And if you all have watched my engine bay videos, you know how much I love the purple power. So let's go ahead and start shooting this up on the valve cover. So this happened. I was cleaning, and yeah, the heavens opened. So obviously I was cleaning up that other valve cover outside there, and then that opened up. So yeah, I'm stuck in here for the minute. But so I was looking at these two, and this is my Y8 valve cover right here that I just pulled off, and you see it was starting to clean up pretty nice. Like, it's better than it was anyway. But then I noticed right here, you see those broken seals? Yeah, you see there? That sucks. I mean, the Y8 valve cover is cool. Like, you know, it's just got the big Honda logo on there, and I was thinking that would look real sweet, you know, sand that all back down, and it's all black, and then that's kind of the silver that looks sweet. But so those little cracks kind of bug me, and you know, I do remember I have this guy. This is the D16 Z6 valve cover I had, in the corner. I actually picked this up from my local junkyard because the original valve cover on the Z6 head was cracked a little bit. So the seals on this guy, you see, are very nice. So what I think I'm gonna do is go ahead and pick these little seals out, and then we'll go ahead and prep this, and once it stops raining, then we'll go ahead and clean this guy up. Yeah, Florida. The easiest way I've found to remove these spark tube grommets here, you always use a hammer, man. You just kind of get your flathead in on the side there, you just hammer it down into place, and then it kind of just pops up like this, and then you can just pop it on out. Not as dramatic without the slow-mo, huh? All right, so again, going ahead and using the D16 Z6 valve cover because it doesn't have those broken spark plug tubes there. Everything is nice on this one. And yeah, I mean, look, it cleans up pretty decent. One thing I've definitely noticed is, you know, through doing the engine bay and like this kind of stuff is I really like restoring parts. Like, do you guys get into that? I don't know. Like I think it's really cool. It's really rewarding, like making something nicer and newer again. But so yeah, that rainstorm actually really helped out, I think, because this VHT stuff here, it says to use it, you know, during certain temperatures, and 95 degrees being like the top end of that. And we were probably pushing that today here in Florida, and it definitely is much cooler out now. So, and it also talks about, you know, humidity being 60%. So yeah, humidity is always like 1,000 in Florida, but you know, hopefully it'll work better. We'll see. All right, so after that initial bit of cleaning, we got some sandpaper here. This is 600 grit. You could use whatever you want, you know, but just go ahead and start working it and sand it down, prepare it for the VHT. It even says on the VHT wrinkle stuff to go ahead and sand it down, and then we're gonna clean it again with the degreaser. And so here's what I got after 3 rounds of using this 400 grit paper here. So yeah, you just keep making passes on it, and it looks a hell of a lot better than it did. What I'm really trying to do is, you know, get in on these places, still working on these, because these are gonna be still exposed silver, and then of course, the VTEC Honda up here. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and use my grinder tool over it, and I'll probably be able to work a lot of that off. But so, after I'm done doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and use the degreaser up front again and clean this all down. All right, so got the cover all cleaned and dried off, and yeah, I mean, I know it still looks kind of dirty, but hey, it's way the heck better than it was, man, and it really does look pretty decent in person. So the next thing that we need to do, according to our instructions here on the back, and just from general common sense, is let's go ahead and mask off the pieces that we don't want painted. And really what those pieces are like around the spark plug tubes here. I'm gonna go ahead and mask off this whole silver part and then cover this up. Same thing with the oil filler cap here. And then these little holes where any bolt goes into, we're gonna cover those up. All of this I am actually gonna paint. I'm gonna go ahead and let black cover the Honda, the VTEC, and this Honda here, and then we're gonna go in and kind of sand it back down. That way on these edges here, it'll be all nice and black too. So yeah, should look pretty cool. I'm just using this standard masking tape here. So let's get to that. Okay, so I just want to give you a quick update on how I'm doing this. I'm just taking this masking tape here, cutting a slice, and then laying it over the whole piece I'm working with. And then I'm just taking my razor blade here, and then just kind of working around the edge lightly, and then just peeling the tape away. Now, see, that doesn't look totally perfect right there, but I mean, overall, it's very good. And I've seen people doing, you know, various methods for, you know, getting this, putting like circle templates over it made out of cardboard and stuff. That's cool. That just seems like a little time consuming to me. So for me, this is gonna be perfect. I'm just gonna keep taking the masking tape. Any of these bolt holes here, I'm gonna use that same technique. And then these, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap that whole piece on the sides. Okay, so we're all wrapped up here. I got the masking tape all around my spots, and I know not everything is perfect, I get that. But, I mean, for me, this is going to be good enough, and I think it looks pretty rad, man. I'm excited to get the paint on there. So we got our VHT here, and we're going to go ahead and shake this guy on up and get it ready to start shooting. Now, this says to go ahead and shake this can up for a full minute straight before using it. There's a little ball in there, you gotta break it free and shake it all around, crap. So 1 minute shaking this, and then for every minute that you're spraying, it says to go ahead and shake it for another 10 seconds. Now, there is a procedure to using this stuff when laying down the coats. Essentially what you want to do is go and attack this at 3 different angles. So obviously I'm going to set this up outside, and then you want to make sure to move yourself around every side so that you're coating it evenly. But what it says on the can is to do 1 coat vertically, so like shooting it up like this as best you can, hitting all the areas. Then wait 5 minutes, let it dry a little bit, just 5 minutes, and then come back and do a horizontal coat over everything. Again, making sure to hit all the angles, get all the sides, including the back. You have to move around these things. You can't stand in one spot and do it. And then so wait another 5 minutes, and then you actually come at it diagonally, and you shoot it across like this. And that's what they call a crosshatch pattern. It's like an art technique, I'm into drawing too. So it's just to make sure that everything is laid down perfectly and that you're getting good coverage over everything. And at the end, we're actually going to use our heat gun to go ahead and make sure that the wrinkle comes through real nice. Let me show you the gun. So I had picked this guy up. It is super cheap, man. It was like 15 bucks. And it's got 2 different settings. I'm sure, it's a cheap little deal. Like I said, 15 bucks. But yeah, you got a couple different settings. It goes up to 1500 watts. And yeah, it's supposedly going to get pretty hot. So then you just go and just all over this thing and dry it up. So let's take this guy and bring it on out front. I got this set up on the cardboard here. Got my VHT. Let's go ahead and shake that up and get ready to spray. That's 1 minute. Let's start. All right, 5 minutes has elapsed. So now we're gonna go horizontally. That's 2 coats. All right, another 5 minutes to test. This is the can again, and do your diagonals. And that's how I'm looking after 3 coats. Vertical, horizontal, and then diagonal. See, it looks a bit orange peely, and from the bottle, that's what it's supposed to look like. It says you need a relatively thick coat to allow the wrinkles to produce. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the heat gun here, and then I'll update you then. And time to fire up the dryer. I feel like the wrinkles are starting to come in before my eyes, man. It's awesome. It's just like every second it's looking better. This is maybe after, I don't know, 5, 6 minutes, something like that, maybe more. Just on the low setting and just kind of sweeping over everything all the time. It's looking great, man. I'll update you when I'm done. All right, you guys, so it's the next day, and here is the valve cover, and man, I'm happy with how it came out. Like, I see that in the camera, it looks like there are a couple little streaks there. It's really hard to see that in person. Like, it's really weird. I don't know, like, I can kind of see that, but I don't know. Overall, I'm really happy with how this thing is coming out, man. You see how the seals still look decent, you know, and as much as you clean those up, that's as good as it's gonna look at the end product. And of course, I could spend more time on that, but you know, they're covered in the end by the spark plugs. But yeah, overall looking great. With the VHT, it says that you wanna let this stuff dry for 24 hours. You know, you spray it and then you do the heat gun, and it really kind of feels dry pretty quick, like I'd say within an hour. But it says don't mess with it. You know, we still have to put our new spark plug tube seals in, and you know, you kind of got to hammer that down and force it down, so you don't really want to mess with it too hard. So I went ahead and waited the day. So as I'm looking at these couple spots here, you know, I actually went and shot here again real quick while this thing was still pretty much wet. You know, it was dried for maybe 30 minutes, and I saw that, you know, there were still spots, and it even says on the can, you know, go ahead and shoot it again. But maybe what I should have done is reshot the whole thing. But you know, it is what it is. Like, it looks more dramatic in the camera than it does in person. Like, it looks really good in person. And you see most all of it looks really, really good. And I'm really happy with it. You know, again, you could clean up here a little bit if you wanted to, but again, that's covered by the spark plugs. But so what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and take this little tool that I have down in here. It's like the Dremel type tool. And we're gonna go ahead and make some passes at this and try to get all that paint off of the VTEC, the Honda, and the logo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this thing like this, kind of vertical to me, and then I've got my little Dremel tool here with the grinding stone loaded up, and I'm gonna go like make horizontal, or I guess vertical passes at it, but the thing like this, you know, kind of passes like that. That way, all the streaks should be sideways and looking pretty cool. I'm using a few different tools. I've got this kind of grinding stone up on my Dremel here. Then I'm also using this little sanding block, as well as some sandpaper at the end. And you see the C came out pretty nice. So yeah. Overall, it's going to be a bit of a time-consuming process. It does take a minute to sand that down, but, you know, worth it in the end. And so that's where I'm at with it. Pretty cool, right? Like, listen, guys, I know it's not perfect, okay? You know, I know there's a bit of streaky, and these letters up here, you know, they could get worn down more. Like, I can keep sanding that, and hey, I might. And even up in here, you know, I could clean these up better. I really could. But this isn't a show car, it's a race car. And from what I had in there, well, that's the old Y8 cover. But from what I had in there, it looks way the hell better. I mean, look at that, come on. Like, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. It looks pretty good. You know, for my very first attempt, I'm definitely happy. I just now need to go ahead and put the little grommets in, these spark tube holes, and then we can put the actual valve cover on, and then we can pop this bad boy back on the motor. But yeah, pretty sweet, right? And for my first time, I'm happy. Okay, so you turn this guy over, like so, and then we got all our exposed spark plug tubes here. These are the new rings that I have. It says you can use some white lithium grease along the edge, or maybe even some oil to help press it in. But you'll see there's kind of two sides to it. The side that looks like this sticks up. So the side with like the hole or the channel to it goes down in. So it'll sit just looking like that. And we're gonna go ahead and do that for all four. So all those are in place. Really, they just press down really nice. You know, it is firm, but I didn't even use any grease or anything. It just pressed down fine. And then you can use like a socket and like a little hammer, a rubber mallet, and then you can just kind of put the socket over it and then hammer it down on in lightly, you know, just to make sure that the seal is very good. So let's go ahead and grab our gasket here and plop that on. And I just put a tiny little bit of Honda Bond in the corners. Let's go ahead and take this guy, pop it up on here. Already looking cool. But so we got to take a little pick or something and move the new spark plug grommets there, flare them out a little bit so that way it just goes over top of the spark plug tube, and then we can push this whole thing down lightly. Sorry, but it is rather hard to show you that while doing. But so you can see here, you can see how there's the metal. I just moved the gasket over, or the grommet, whatever you want to call it, along the outside of the tube. And we got to do that on all four. All right, and then what I like about having extra crap Honda parts laying around, my old Z6 here, I really like the way these chrome pieces look much better than what came with the thing. So I'm going to be using these chrome parts to go on top. And then to top it all off, I have these two oil filler caps to choose from. This one came off of the Y8, and this one here came off of my Z6 and the busted Z6. And I kind of like this better. I think it's cool being all black. It says Huel Honda Oil there. Yeah, that one, you know, it could be cleaned up. You know, I don't know. I just like this one better. So let's go ahead and pop this guy on. And boom. Check that out. I'm really happy. And for my eagle-eyed viewers, yes, I'm gonna go ahead and connect up the ground, and that is not painted over. That is a good metal connection there. I may even sand that back just a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on. And so there we go, you guys. Okay, so there it is. It's looking so much better, right? And listen, I know that's not perfect, okay? I know I could paint it probably better next time. You know, definitely next time I wouldn't go ahead and shoot it again once it's already pretty much drying. I would just do the 3 coats and boom. And you know, to be honest, I kind of want to do that just because that was a fun process. And I would love to get something on there that is just as perfect as could be, just because I like that. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned, you know, about the coilovers. And don't worry, it is happening. They are coming, okay? But, you know, some of you had pointed out, hey, it's been a couple weeks, where are they? There was a bit of a miscommunication in terms of when this company we were working for thought we wanted them. And so, yeah, they kind of just, you know, they just weren't in production, so to speak. So that since has passed. They know we want them. Everything is in production. That started moving forward again about a week ago, but that still means that we're about a couple weeks out. And you know, good things come to those who wait, right? And that's just the name of the game with this project. Do y'all remember the wheels? When I was waiting for my 949s, it took like 3 months for me to get those because everyone was out of stock. But man, you know, I got them and I absolutely love them. And I know it's gonna be the same with these coilovers. And again, I can't wait to show you guys. Believe me, I have not forgotten about them. Like, I want them. You know, all of this stuff is happening to get ready for those. Well, the suspension work anyway. But so Thierry from RHD Performance has actually sent me a couple more parts that we're gonna be working on. Still in prep for the coilovers. Front wheel bearings. He's also sent me rear wheel bearings and rear trailing arm bushings. But of course, we're gonna continue with the front. We'll go ahead and do those bearings, get those pressed out, new ones pressed in, and then, yeah, put all the front back together, then we'll worry about the rear. But so anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I love this thing, and yeah, I hope you dig it too. Maybe you learned something. Yeah, whatever. Thanks for watching. Talk to you in the comments.